It's still the big issue on TV3 New Day. Thank you so much for staying with us during the break. But still in the studios, Bernard Mona is a former chairman of the PNC. Kofi Tonto is a government spokesperson. Ediji Tamaklo, lawyer, and of course, member of the legal team for the NDC. He's a member of government's communications team.
Party or government?
Government.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I see.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Communication
yes, that's the case now. Anyway, let's continue this conversation. I'm hoping that there'll be enough time so we can get into Saglemi as well. So many questions to ask. But I'm just going to read something that an NPP MP had said. Now, he's the MP for Impriaso, and he mentioned that the sacking of the, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry is not enough if the Finance Minister himself does not also resign, because the whole ministry needs a total overhaul. Do you agree to that?
Well, this position is not new. We have called for the resignation of the finance minister. I recall that when the finance minister went to Tamale on his so-called town hall meetings, where again he showed his level of arrogance by saying that no matter what anybody does or say, IMF will not go. And he said that the e-levy was the panacea to the economic crisis that we were facing.
A proud people.
And that we should burden share. In that he indicated that we are the shining star of Africa and we are a proud people. The finance minister, who was was not ready to participate in anything with IMF, in his opinion, the IMF was the devil that God ever created. Suddenly, as we read from Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, the president ignored the finance minister and instructed that government should go to the IMF. Then the president, after the finance minister said IMF is a no-go area, still thinks that the minister for finance should continue as minister for finance and to lead the processes to conclude an IMF. Bella, I'm just wondering, if I ever call you a devil, you will be willing to tolerate the fact that you are the devil that I have come to sit with. The IMF is like all of us. They have representatives in our country. They have picked all these stories, they have shared it. That this is one person who has berated, undermined, and virtually shredded the significance of the IMF to any economy in the world. So how is that person going to sit down on the same table and now say that, no, the IMF is the solution, please come? President Akufo-Addo is going around saying that, why? We are relying on the IMF as the ultimate redeemer of the mess that he and Ken Ofori Atta have caused this country. So if you keep Ken Ofori Atta there, you have not solved the problem. I have listened to renowned economist Kwame Pienim, who had said that, why, things are not going well. And Kwame Pienim did not say it today. About a month ago, he pointed out that, why, he has friends. They have, all of us, we have gone to school with some of the people that are working there. And they are telling us that the negotiation is not going well because of the posturing of the finance minister. So if you are waiting for IMF as the solution to the problems we are having, and you have Ken Ofori Atta there, then it means that no solution will come. No wonder Chairman Sambosu then comes to say that, look, we are not likely to obtain a budget before the end of November, which is not new, which is very new in the Fourth Republic. That by every 15th of November, budget statements have always been prepared so that they can prepare for at least the first quarter of the year, because you need to take the budget.
In fact, it is in the public financial management.
You understand? Unfortunately, that is not where we are. So it doesn't make President Akufo-Addo a stubborn person to say that you will not relieve Ken Ofori Atta. What it rather makes you is that, look, it makes everything go murkier and murkier. And I think that Ken Ofori Atta has overstayed his welcome. It is Martin Pebu who said that, Yebo Kano, ana yesi Yebo Busunyano, na Ubusunya ye. It is obvious that anytime Ken Ofori Atta goes out to borrow, his businesses and his family, they do well. So we borrow so that they can get richer. And that is a danger for all of us. So I don't know why President Akufo-Addo thinks that Ken Ofori Atta should continue to run the ministry. So what the Honorable MP for Impriaso is saying I think that comes very well and sit with the majority caucus in Parliament that insists that Ken Ofori Atta has overstayed his welcome. He should go. And indeed, I don't think that is just Ken Ofori Atta. With the other one, my brother, Dr. Kuma, who was in Parliament, celebrating Ken Ofori Atta, saying that IMF will not go today, will not go tomorrow, will not go any time. So if today they have gone on IMF, decency requires that they themselves should have opted out. The president cannot force them to continue to stay in office.
He cannot force them to continue to stay?
No. Because if I am tired, if I think that the calls are too much, I cannot. And I say I put on my resignation and say I've not resigned. It means that the president doesn't even want the work to be done. Somebody who said that, no, I can no longer do the work. I've submitted my resignation. Then say, go and continue with the work. With what energy?
Who would that be necessarily? Because as far as we're concerned, the finance minister has not
well, if Charles Edubani put up his resignation as the MP for Tong, indicated, and the president said, go and stay at your work. And I've heard similar rumors about the Minister for Finance, who at one point said, look, let me give up. And the president insists that they should keep up their positions. Somebody who says that, look, I've run out of ideas, and you want to force the person to continue to be in office. What ideas is the person going to use to run the economy?
Is it because he probably sees beyond what they are seeing at the moment, thinks that they are still very capable of running the ministry?
I have said that Ken Ofori Atta from day one has been the major nemesis of our economy. That why? What policy options did Ken Ofori Atta put in place? And what was the benefit? Ken Ofori Atta started on a borrowing spree, which in itself is a problem, a major problem for this country, because you started by borrowing above the limits that any government should borrow. When you came, policies that were implemented before you came were maturing at the time you came, so the fruits started to show. You took those fruits as the outcome of your policies. The policies that you implemented in 2017, 2018, 2019, they started to bear fruits in 2020. And what was the state of our economy in 2020, 2021? A disaster. So you cannot claim any credit whatsoever. Because 2017, really, Akufo-Addo was still constituting government. But you can know that energy crises were solved. So businesses that were producing under capacity started to produce at full capacity and ultimate capacity. When you start producing at ultimate or maximum capacity, what do you expect? Productivity boomed. The effect is that the economy started to grow. Ken Ofori Atta and Bawumia took it as, why? Their success story. Was that not the time they claimed that they arrested the depreciation of the CD and handed over the key to the IGP? Or because the IGP was replaced, that is why the CD2 is running the way it is running. So obviously, Ken Ofori Atta is not an answer to the current crisis that we have. And if President Akufo-Addo would want this economy to bounce back anytime soon. In fact, investor confidence alone. That's right. Of all these things that we are suffering today, people don't have confidence in the economy because of the person who is leading the finance ministry. So if that person is not there, I'm not sure that Charles Edubani is even the major problem of the ministry.
He's not.
He is not. Even as his position was useless, it was meaningless. Because I didn't see the relevance of creating a minister of state responsible at the Ministry of Finance.
I don't know what you make of the statements that, Bernard Mona has just ended with. And this was something that he started with in his earlier submission, that position in itself was not even needed in the first place because there's already a Minister of Finance. Why then set up...
With two deputies.
With two deputies. So why then set up another office for the Minister of State in charge of Finance?
Okay. Bella, first of all, the position doesn't exist anymore. If you had asked me this question 2 weeks ago, or even yesterday, or even the day before, it would have been a tenable question. As it stands,
it is not tenable at the moment.
It isn't, because the position...
The position is still there, but there's nobody occupying it.
There's nobody.
As far as we're concerned, per the statement the president put out, he didn't say that as a result, that office ceases to exist. He only said that we're relieving you of your position as Minister of State. We don't know if he's going to appoint someone else to take over that office yet.
As it stands, there is no one as a Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. So for me, I think it's neither here nor there. The most important thing is that the president has taken the decision in the best interest of people, of Ghanaians in this country. Now, let me come back to a comment or something Eduji has been hammering on. He keeps talking about the IMF negotiations and the challenges with the IMF negotiations and all of that. He even referenced, or maybe it was Bernard who referenced a commentary by, is it Dr. Kwame Pianin? Yeah, that's the IMF, Mr. Kwame Pianin. See, here is a report from the IMF on
dated
October 20th, 2022.
Okay.
It says, the Ghanaian delegation and the IMF staff had a very fruitful discussion on the authorities' post-COVID program for economic growth and associated policies and reforms that could be supported by a new IMF arrangement. We made good progress in identifying specific policies that would restore macroeconomic stability. The IMF team and the Ghanaian authorities remain fully committed to reaching an agreement. That was the last statement from the IMF. So where from all of this?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the commentary Eduji has been making that
Do you have a staff level agreement? No. You don't.
Do you work for the IMF?
No, but the fact is that you don't.
What fact?
Hold on.
What fact?
Please allow Kofi. Gentlemen,
Today, November what?
Please allow Kofi to
You were
speak.
not listening to
No,
what he said.
allow Kofi to speak.
What he read does not resolve the issue.
Hold on. Allow him to speak. He's making a point. Let's
Bella,
allow him to
we
develop
have
the
had
points
a cordial
first.
meeting this morning.
What cordial?
I understand, but
what
you
do you define as cordial? You define this as cordial.
It's not cordial.
You define this as cordial.
Kofi is not happy.
The Kasaba Akuna Machichire
Allow Kofi to land.
We have had a cordial meeting. How does that say that we have agreed on something?
You don't have a staff level agreement. That's the bottom line.
Where is your evidence?
Do you have it?
Do you have it though?
No.
You don't.
Bella, the IMF has come out.
They'll communicate to
Lawyer,
us.
lawyer,
Okay,
please.
He has made several commentary without providing a shred of evidence.
But that is why you are here. To
No,
either
but
debunk-
I've read to you the last engagement between government and the IMF, and the IMF's position that they've had a very fruitful discussion. How then does somebody like Eduji come out and say that they are having challenges and that the IMF negotiation is not going well?
Where's your agreements?
If you don't have an agreement, does that mean the negotiation is not going well?
Bella, Mr.
That's why they are
he announced the IMF engagement on 1st July. 1st July.
Let him land.
1st July.
So your point being what?
1st July.
No, my point is the negotiation is ongoing.
Okay.
The IMF has made it categorically clear that they are satisfied with the discussion and it is ongoing. Until the IMF comes out to say that we are not satisfied or the negotiation is not going well, it doesn't lie in the mouth of Eduji to come and tell Ghanaians that the IMF negotiation is not going well.
Even if what he's saying may be true?
Maybe
Even
true.
if?
No,
Yes.
this is not a platform for maybe. This is a platform for factual statement. So Eduji can Eduji cries and
But the point is that you don't have a staff level
Lawyer.
agreement, do you?
No, but that's what he's saying, that you don't have the facts to back this.
What facts? Is there any agreement as we speak today?
But
the negotiation is ongoing.
Anytime the IMF agrees, anytime there's an agreement, the IMF will issue a statement.
No, I'm not assuming.
But if we
Now,
have
two
an
people
agreement
making
with the
statements
IMF,
from two
No,
sides.
issue a statement.
One
from
says
the
what you are
IMF,
saying is
put
not
it out.
true. One says we don't have it.
They'll issue a
But
statement
if
once
they
we
have an
have.
agreement, they should put it out that this is the agreement we have.
So
with
who
the IMF.
signed it on behalf of government?
Do you have
Bernard and his lawyer are ganging.
No, but do you have it, Kofi?
No, see what he's referring to is an agreement between IMF and Ghana. That agreement can only be reached after negotiation.
Okay.
The IMF is rather telling you that the negotiation is ongoing. Well, it's like me and you having an engagement where we haven't reached finality.
Any engagement.
Kofi, carry on.
We haven't reached any finality. And then someone is asking for a memorandum of understanding when we are still discussing the details of it. What are you talking about? You know, people should treat Ghanaians with some degree or modicum of respect.
So we should be patient and allow
Of course,
deal
the
to be
discussion
complete.
is ongoing.
Okay.
Once they reach an agreement, the statement will be put out for all Ghanaians to see. So what is this whole premature ejaculation about this and that? And
is it not too early for this?
No, but it is.
It's too early for this, Kofi. What's going on?
No, I'm sorry. But my point is, I borrowed it from Kwekuba. But my point is, what Eduji is doing is inappropriate.
Okay.
It's inappropriate.
Okay.
So first of all, let's put that aside, and let's focus on what the agreement is going to tell Ghanaians, and then at that point we can.
But if your own MP is saying that the sacking of your Minister of State in charge of finance is not complete if you don't have the finance minister himself
OPK
lead.
is my brother. OPK has every right to express his view.
Okay.
Okay. The president is the person who has the mandate to decide what direction the nation takes.
But you could be a good minister for finance.
I'm not a finance person.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Then please allow him.
So my point is, let's allow the president to do what he needs to do. Once he deems it appropriate that the finance minister shouldn't be there anymore, I think he will take the right decision. At least right now, what we have seen is a decisive decision by the president to inform our brother Duboahin to step down.
Okay.
You know, it's very decisive.
But there's still a tag of corruption.
No, but
on
I
your
want to know,
government
is
at the
James
moment.
also a finance person?
When you are friends with him, when you see
there's a tag of corruption
Okay.
hanging around the presidency at the moment. Now, if you go back to the Afrobarometer report that was released this year as well.
Oh, but we discussed that. I was here when we discussed it. It was
you were
a
here.
Perception report.
Exactly. Yeah. But then if about 55% of the people that were, surveyed said that the office of the presidency is the second most corrupt institution in the country.
Yeah.
Moving forward, this is actually happening where we're seeing videos, of allegations being made of someone taking money for shopping and also saying that I'm going to take 20% of whatever deal money that you bring into the country. It doesn't really clear that tag. How are you handling it as the office
Of course.
of the presidency?
I mean, what transpired in the video, by the way, I haven't seen the video.
Okay.
What I've read is the
Have you read?
transcript
Okay.
so far. And what transpired in the transcript doesn't augur well for government, right? And that's why the president has taken the decision to terminate the position of Minister Dubois.
Yeah.
So it is an attempt by the government to showcase that we don't tolerate corruption. I fully agree with you. The government has to do more to ensure that we remove that tag of corruption.
How are you doing it?
Of course. I mean, there are certain measures that have been put in place. If you read what the Auditor General said about government's commitment, the SP about government's commitment, these are all efforts the government is making to ensure that we fight corruption. It's not an easy fight, but what matters is that when there is a clear case of an incident like what has transpired, what Ghanaians are looking for is a decisive decision by the president. And in this case, the president has been extremely decisive. He's referred the issue to the special prosecutor for further investigation. So it's an attempt to show that the president doesn't condone corruption. So let's allow for Duboahin to have his day. See, as it stands, he has every right as a Ghanaian to have his day. Okay. The special prosecutor is going to take over the issue and investigate accordingly. And once all the facts come out, if any further action ought to be taken, I'm sure the appropriate people will take the necessary actions.
Lawyer, could this be a criminal offense? Because, of course, we do understand that if you actually commit the crime, then you should be prosecuted. But if you make an attempt, in this case, in what we're seeing, where there's an attempt to receive some monies, at least some percentage from the investor, in order to facilitate whatever deal that's going to happen, is that criminal?
Okay, so maybe we will put it in the context. This government is in court prosecuting Kwesi Nyantakyi on the basis of what? That is, use the name of the president for what have you. So maybe taken within that particular context, you may want to say you can infer some offenses. But if you take this whole conversation, it's becoming one too many. And each time, the allegations are not coming from NDC, known quote-unquote opponents or adversaries of the NPP. Because I recall vividly, somewhere 29th August 2017, Ken Ofori Atta, I say Ken Japan, this is what he says. Ken Japan names corrupt officials at Jubilee House, and he mentions people's name, and proceeds to say that there was an instance where an investor who, I want to just read what he said. I was there. These same people called me back to tell me that they wanted to have access to the president, and they were asked to pay $20,000 thereabout before meeting can be arranged between them and the president. Why should it be so? This is Kende Japan, an MPP person. Ken will not want to do anything that would undermine MPP government. No. So when this whole appearance fee issues come in, we saw the cash for seats, where there was a whole parliamentary probe, among others. We saw the charade that happened, where one of them said that the reference to president in the invitation was him. I mean, let's respect the intelligence of 30 million Ghanaians. But maybe to conclude on this, I think that if the vice president wants to demonstrate, he should offer a statement to the office of the special prosecutor, so that he himself will now become a subject of the investigation.
Well, he says that his legal team, and yesterday I listened to Mr. Gideon Buck, he said their legal team is handling the matter.
Oh, fantastic. So he should appear before the office of the special prosecutor, so that he himself will be a subject of the investigation.
But he says that his legal team are also investigating these allegations as well.
No, it's not the legal team. He himself, I am saying that now that the president has referred Charles, Charles is saying that the person who is at the receiving end of the 200,000 appearance fee is Dr. Bamia. So the president should refer his vice equally to the SP, so that the SP's investigation can equally exonerate him or find him whatever it is. Okay. It's fair. You say we should allow due process. That's all that I'm talking about.
So it shouldn't just be...
You are so you're penchant on trying to rope in the vice president.
No, but his name was mentioned. Do you know that even in the conversation, when the issue of the president's name came in, it was watered down. The man actually said that Vice President Bawumia is the one in charge.
No, please.
He said it,
Bella,
including the lawyer.
You didn't watch the video.
You didn't watch the video,
No.
Kofi.
I've read the transcript.
Lawyer, did you watch it yesterday?
I did. In fact, I can forward the short. Or
I've read the transcript.
Yes.
The transcript, the reason why the vice president's name came in had to do with the fact that the so-called investors wanted to go into banking.
Yeah.
That's why his name came in. It had to do with banking. And he was suggesting that if it has to do with banking, then that's how his name came in.
In fact, you use the word, he's in charge.
No, he's the one. He actually went to say that he's not like that. Why are you not referring to the instances where he actually goes to say that the vice president is a good person?
So after all, this man...
But as for the appearance,
you
was
watch
not in doubt.
Okay.
Please.
The 200,000.
He said he read the transcript. If you read the transcript,
all
it
these
gives
things
you...
are in the transcript.
It
No,
gives
but you see,
you...
the
all these things are in the
Okay.
Bella, just for the record.
Okay.
No, appearance fee of $200,000 to Dr. Bawumia is not in doubt.
It's not in doubt how?
What do you mean it's not in doubt?
The reference to him is not in doubt.
Oh, well, yes. That was the statement.
No, but that's not... No, but my point is that...
But Charles Edubai said that this was done in 2018. And if you even listen to the documentary, and I think that is one major aspect that we have ignored. It says that was probably the last documentary investigation piece that Ahmed Swale had done. And questions are being asked. Why did Ahmed Swale die prematurely? And we are here, and we are not talking about the death.
Well, we talked about that earlier when lawyer raised
because
it.
It is important to note that persons who have put their lives in order to save this nation of the kind of mess have been killed. And the state is playing hanky-panky with the issue.
Bella, this
So clearly, this
documentary
exposes even deeper concerns.
Yes.
Okay.
Not only for Ahmed Swale, but for many of you who are doing other investigations. Because journalism is really investigation.
Bella, there's even a more serious issue with this Ahmed Swale thing. Do you know that at the time when he was brutally murdered, he was a witness for the state, and he was supposed to be under a witness protection by state security.
Okay.
How did we allow him to be murdered brutally in this manner?
All right, and on that note, we'll wrap up the conversation here. Lawyer Edudi Tamaklo is a member of the legal team for the NDC. Kofi Tonto is a government spokesman spokesperson. He's a member of government's communications team. And Mr. Bernard Mona is a former chairman of the People's National Convention. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Saglemi, I wish we could have talked about it. There's no time. Maybe another time. Maybe tomorrow we'll touch on it. Well, that's the question that everybody is asking as well. But we have an exclusive with the winners of the Ghana Journalist Awards. Of course, Portia, Armstrong Gold Alogbe.
One of the journalists of the year, probably 2023.
I can conclude the appearance fee for you.
It's 2023.
Please, I don't take appearance fees, I beg you. On that note, they'll be joining us to have a conversation about how all of this is impacting on their work as journalists and, of course, award-winning journalists as well. Keep watching. We'll be right back.